Alright, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Real Review, but with a twist. This month it is Jurassic June. My name's Kevin.
And I'm John.
And today we're going to be looking at the amazing dinosaur series known as Jurassic Park. There are 5 movies in the franchise. This is Jurassic Park, the original. John, so was this like a big movie when you were younger? For me it was, so I'm just curious if it was for you. Like, was this one of those big movies that you used to watch all the time?
Oh yeah, this was one of the movies that was a must see when we were kids, and just one of those movies that I feel like everybody saw at least one time.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue this is when I fell in love with movies. I would argue that Jurassic Park was that influential as when I could say a young little Kevin sitting down in front of the television watching Jurassic Park for the first time. I was blown away. And most kids, especially boys, I want to say, are blown away by dinosaurs. So maybe not that uncommon, but I was just mesmerized by this movie as a kid. And honestly, to this day, I'm still pretty mesmerized by this movie. Usually at this point I say, what did you think of going into this movie? But because of this movie being Jurassic Park, what are your fondest memories of this movie, would you say? What fond memories would you share with this movie?
I feel like this movie has so many fond memories. Like, so many of the things that they were able to do with this movie alone was just so amazing. Like, just the looks of the dinosaurs, the whole story around it.
Right.
How they eventually got these people to come to this park. And it's so weird to think about too, because like all these dinosaurs were able to get out and cause all this havoc,
Right.
all because they didn't have backup generators.
Yeah.
So I find that so funny too, because like the movie is so well done and has so many great things in it,
right,
that make it such one of those amazing movies that after you watch it once, you definitely want to watch it again and again, and it still lives up to it now. Like when I went to go watch it again,
right,
just to get a refresher on it, I was like, it still lives up. Everything, it doesn't get boring. It doesn't go, oh, I already know what's gonna happen, so I'm not as into it. It still lives up.
So, that being said, what I want to talk about mainly at this review, normally, we go talk about the whole plot, everything like that. I don't really want to bore the people at home with the plot of Jurassic Park. Essentially, I'll give you a brief summary if you, for some reason, have never seen Jurassic Park. Essentially, an eccentric billionaire creates a park where dinosaurs are now back to life. He invites a group of scientists over. You have Dr. Grant, you have Ellie, and you have Ian Malcolm, all played by amazing actors, Sam Neill, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum. He invites all 3 of them to the park because he needs to have it approved by his investors. Also, a lawyer is brought. Essentially, it invites everyone to the park. It doesn't go so well. All right, it doesn't go so well. It's supposed to be this great thing and ends up being a disaster. Why does Jurassic Park work? Like I said, why does it work, and why does it hold up so strong are the main things I really want to focus on. At this point in his career, Steven Spielberg, he hit it out of the park with Jaws at this point, so now we're rolling into Jurassic Park soon after. A big thing for me, maybe even the biggest thing, I would say, is the use of practicality in this movie. The practical dinosaurs still hold up ridiculously strong. That T-Rex, he's amazing. It still looks good. I mean, sometimes I don't even know. I can't tell the difference between the CG that they're using and if it is actually there, honestly. To this day, sometimes I still can't tell the difference.
Yeah, like the way that the dinosaurs look each time, so amazingly done.
Right.
That it's almost like you don't even think that the dinosaurs are fake or aren't real. they
Yeah.
look so realistic in a way
Mm-hmm.
that you're like, wow, that looks like your eyes completely don't look for that kind of stuff.
And you know what it does? The main thing, I think, using practical effects, interacting with things that are actually there, adds a timelessness to the movie. Regardless if it's hokey looking or not, when you have something that's actually there, it doesn't age. It won't really age. You know, I mean, maybe this didn't look so good. This costume looked a little wonky, but it's actually there, and you have something with the actors to interact with. I mean, when the T-Rex head goes crashing through the top of the car and the kids are freaking out, I know from like things I've seen that wasn't supposed to happen. That was definitely not supposed to happen. Those kids were really freaking out for real. Yeah, I mean, it's there to interact with, and it adds so much more to the movie. It adds so much more to that mysterious like majesty, I want to say, to what they're trying to create in this movie. Whether it's, when there's the sick triceratops and they're like, it's sick and it's laying on the ground, and Dr. Grant, Sam Neill puts his head to it and he's like leaning on it as it's breathing, and he's moving with it. It's just, you wouldn't get that with CG today. You wouldn't get
Yeah.
that, just that effect. And I think it's wild. I still think it's incredibly wild. Even the Raptors, the fact that they used puppets and people in suits and just,
It's crazy.
limited CG. And like I said, sometimes you can tell with the CG because, again, I think the CG won't age as well as the practical effect. But even the CG that they used, even though it was early, it still holds up pretty well, I would say, for this movie. The
Yeah.
limited CG that they used it the right way. They used it to enhance the movie, not to make it the movie. It wasn't the
Yes.
spectacle wasn't the CG effect. The spectacle was the actual dinosaurs being physically there and terrifying everybody. I think it was great.
Yeah. And they also made the park like really believable too.
Yeah,
Like
right.
even after watching this movie
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that Universal did this movie,
Right.
I still feel like they need to that they could have capitalized more on this movie
Mm-hmm.
by putting this in their theme park.
Right.
Like I know they have like areas like they have a ride, like a
Right.
Jurassic Park ride,
Mm-hmm.
but if they did somehow where they made like a whole almost like a whole Jurassic Park in Universal,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it would do so much for them and so many people would go there because this movie has had more impact on people so much and continues to with the movies that are coming out now.
Oh boy.
But I feel like there's so much that they can do
Right.
with this and how good this movie was.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you think about like how cool would a park not with real dinosaurs or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
but how cool would a park be that's kind of like this in a way?
Right. And the way they capture a theme park, I think is great in this movie. When one of my favorite like sequences in a movie is the whole Mr. DNA sequence when they're being explained
Oh,
to like the whole processing and they're sitting on a ride and it's being explained to them. Like, that feels like a theme park to me. Like,
oh
you
yeah.
were literally selling me a theme park, and they have like the little merch shops, and you see that later on in the film, and
Yeah.
that's great. Like, they really sell it like a theme park. The trucks are on rails going through the park, and you have the fences
Yeah.
with the
The
little advertising
fences.
signs. Like, a lot of care went into this experience. It wasn't like sloppily done. I would say
No.
a lot of care. It was a lot of care and attention to the little details throughout the movie.
Yeah.
So besides
Well,
that, go ahead. What were you gonna say? Go ahead.
also one weird thing I find
Right.
that kind of after watching it again, I kind of thought about was how they have all these scientists and all these guys working with the dinosaur eggs and all
Right.
that stuff, but they only have like I guess maybe like four people that seem to be running the whole entire like thing per se, like working on the computers
Right.
and working like with the electronics and what's actually keeping the dinosaurs per se,
Right.
like also with feeding the dinosaurs and stuff. They only have like four people, but they have like 12 scientists.
Right, but they
It,
do address that early on when they ask what's his name, Wayne Knight, who plays Nedry,
oh, okay.
the scientist or the IT guy who betrays everybody, which is a whole crazy sequence. But he explained, you pay me all this money, and I run this place with limited staff. You can have only a couple people here, and we run it like it's amazing. So they try to like play that off. Yeah, there's limited staff here, but again, the park's not like fully up, and it's just a test run with a couple people. It's not like you need 1,000 people there at this point. So they try to explain that off. I mean, the only negatives with this movie, and I'll get it out of the way early. I mean, the plot can be a little okay. You know, I mean, you spared no expense, which is a classic joke, and then you have no backup generator to turn on. Like, it's not working. Like, couldn't add a couple more generators or something like that, or make it so far away in another part of the park where you have to go and turn it on. Nitpicking. Let's be honest, nitpicking. So that being said, the practical effects take center stage in this movie. CG, I no problems with what they used. Again, it was all enhancing CG, and even some of the CG dinosaurs looked great. The actual setting, I think, is great too. I don't know if that gets really as much attention as it does. Like, the jungle scenes look really good, when they're in the middle of the jungle. The actual buildings, all the layout is very believable. I mean, minus maybe the giant cliff next to the T-Rex pit, I always kind of had a problem with. Like, why is there a giant cliff there? That was kind of weird. I think it's just so you could throw that truck over, right?
Well,
that amazing truck scene.
It's also kind of weird because he kind of comes from that way too.
Yeah, I would argue that.
So he comes
in the negative. That's a little weird.
He comes from that way where there's a huge cliff.
Listen, man, I got rose-colored glasses on with this movie. Whatever. that Tyrannosaurus, he could fly for as far as I'm concerned at this point.
With his tiny little T-Rex arms, listen, he climbed up.
He's doing great. I ain't gonna question what he's doing. But that being said, I think. I don't think the setting gets enough credit for as it does. It feels very real. Like I said, the theme park feels very real. The gorgeous shots of them in the middle of, the meadows or whatever, looks great. Everything looks great and believable. I really enjoy that. That being said, what does get talked about a lot is the cast. This movie's cast works so well together.
Oh, yeah.
All the components, the three, even more so than anybody, the three main characters essentially are like they work, they all work perfect together. I mean, Sam Neill is great, Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum, the three of them. Yeah. What do I say? Sam Neill is a gruff guy, but likable, still extremely likable. You got Laura Dern. Doesn't put up with any nonsense, which I think is amazing. Which
she's really good in this too.
Yeah, and it's funny because we talk about strong women in movies and films and whatnot. I never hear Ellie from Jurassic Park get mentioned ever.
No,
and she's like the first one running out there. There's a scene with John Hamm, who's they have to go turn on the generator, and she's got a shotgun, and John Hamm's like, oh wait, maybe I should do that. She's like. Just like rolls her eyes and just like, we'll talk about sexism later. I'm gonna go handle this, and it's like, that's amazing. She's just gonna go do it. Like she ain't put up any nonsense, and like that's a powerful woman in this movie. Yeah, she's tough. She's ready to go. No nonsense, and give her a shine more. I don't know why we're not talking about that more.
No, yeah, she was awesome in this movie. She just a role that she played as she's a badass woman, and she also was able to help take care of the kids and stuff. So she had her motherly duties still too, but was able to shine and.
But you can even argue Sam Neill had the motherly duties more going on. Sam Neill's the one bonding with the kids out in the forest. He hates kids in the beginning, and then which again a little cliche, but this is Spielberg's great at handling those modern cliches and exemplifying them. Just seeing Sam Neill grow with the kids as a character, I think, is wonderful. You can even argue maybe he's taking over the matronly role more than she is. She's the one out there busting her butt, fighting the doing the raptors and stuff like that, and he's got the kids and he's running away. Great. And then we have Jeff Goldblum, which I have a love-hate with Jeff Goldblum. I do love Jeff Goldblum. Not so much as maybe a main character, which might come up down the road at some point. But in this movie, Jeff Goldblum's amazing. He's the perfect antagonist as far as they're being all fascinated by dinosaurs, and he's like, no, that's a bad idea. You shouldn't be doing that. No, this is terrible.
Yeah. He was very good in this movie. As you said, sometimes you like it.
It's wow, we're grunting. What is going on here, dude?
Yeah. And just sometimes how stupid he acts in the movie, when he goes to grab that thing and then he throws him the little the road flare sticks. And then he kind of throws them to get the dinosaurs attraction.
But you know what? That made him endearing though in a funny way. It's funny because in the beginning, you when you meet him, he's nonstop antagonizing everybody. He's always Mr. Pessimistic, and he's a chaos scientist, so everything's chaos, chaos this, chaos that, yada yada yada. every quippy one-liners every 2 seconds. Nothing nice to say about what's going on. As soon as they bring up dinosaurs, should they be doing? He's like, no, this is against nature, which it is, which is something we'll talk about. But at that point, you would think he doesn't care about anybody. They even bring up when he's hitting on Ellie throughout the movie. He's he's just about the next Mrs. Malcolm. Oh, how many have there been? Like 3. You know what I mean?
Next,
they're bringing
the next Mrs. X Malcolm.
Yeah, Mrs. X Malcolm. But then he goes out and he does care about like other people. Like you see, he goes and does risk his life, and it redeems. Like it's not. I wouldn't say redeems because he never really fell off the redeem train for me. But it showed there was more to his character than that, which I thought that was kind of it was deep. I mean, he wasn't really in the movie after that. It was just the sexy Goldblum that everybody loves, where he's like laying with his shirt like wide open, sitting on the table, which classic meme. This movie's like the birth of memes too. God, there's so many memes with this movie. But yeah,
I also feel like they got the lawyer pat too, in the way of like he was very skeptical going in, and all of a sudden he started hearing about how much money they can make, and he's like, oh, let's get this down. Oh, let's do this now. All right. We don't want to worry about anything else. Let's just get it down right now.
Yeah, very cliched lawyer. Yeah, but he was great. He played it right, though. You're right.
Yeah. At the beginning, he was kind of like, well, we got to sign this. We got to watch this. And then all of a sudden, he was like, wait, did you say a lot of money? All right, I'm in.
No, it's great. Like I said, the cast overall is great. Even the hunter that's in the movie, clever girl.
Oh, yeah.
I love him. And
John Hammond, he was
welcome
amazing in this movie. I feel like that's one of those guys that like if he opened like that's the kind of guy you want opening a park. He's very believable, and he just seems like your typical like your grandfather type of man.
I don't want to say he's even like that. That's what I would picture, like a crazy old rich man. Like that. I think he forever embodies my thought of a crazy rich man doing something, no matter what it is, whether it's like building something or like doing something. It's John Hammond. That's who I picture immediately. And if you tell me that, if I hear a crazy old man who's like filthy rich doing something, it's John Hammond. Oh, John Hammond's doing that. Oh, makes sense. Makes sense.
Well, yeah. Or like when they were talking, he goes, "Yeah, we have a T-Rex." The guy's like, "Wait, you have a T-Rex?" He's like, "Well, yeah, we have a T-Rex.
Yeah,
nothing big deal."
It's crazy. I mean, like I said, the actors alone definitely make this movie. They make the chemistry. Like you feel for all the characters. You're concerned with everyone. It's great. Back to the dinosaurs real quick. So what I did was when I watched the movie, I wanted to see when the first dinosaur was revealed. So we're not going to say not the beginning when you see the raptor eye. When do you think how long into the movie do you think it took to see the first dinosaur? Would you say?
The first living dinosaur?
First dinosaur.
Probably 45 minutes.
No. About 20 minutes into the movie.
Really?
20 minutes. And you know what? It's...
Oh, okay.
So
I was thinking the first one was the T-Rex.
No, so you see the Brontosaurus is the big reveal, the Brachiosaurus. And, the amazing thing about this movie is the cinematography in such a way expands that feel of wonder and awe. The first shot you see isn't actually of the dinosaur, which would be like, okay, well, let's just show the dinosaur and get over with. You see their reactions to seeing a dinosaur.
Isn't it earlier than that, though?
No, 20 minutes.
Because when they get on that ride, they see a dinosaur right then.
That's it. When they first go into the park and they see the Brontosaurus, the Brachiosaurus, that's the first actual scene. And like I said, you don't see the dinosaur first. You just see their reactions. You see it pans to, Sam Neill and then Laura Dern. And then there's the shocked faces that's actually playing right now as we're talking about, which is really funny. And then they pan over and everyone, you just see these majestic animals. Like they're there, Yeah. Again, these are CG. They still look, well done at this point. But the reaction sells it more than just showing me the dinosaur, which I think is great. Oh, yeah. Like you just see that. Like, wow, like they're impressed. I'm like, oh crap, I'm impressed now. Like, wow, this is amazing.
Well, yeah. And you're also wondering like, oh my God, what kind of dinosaur are they looking at? Or what are they looking at? Like you kind of think it's going to be like a big, maybe a T-Rex or a raptor or something like that.
Right.
And then it's just these other dinosaurs and you're like, that's really impressive. Like that looks awesome.
Yeah. No.
And like you were saying, they sold it so well too. Just facial expressions and stuff.
Yeah. And not even that, like I said, the character moments alone. I mean, Steven Spielberg knows, I think he learned after Jaws, which, is a crazy story in its own right, how Jaws was made and everything like that. You don't give us everything at once. You know, you slowly build up to it and give us little bits of pieces. But even more so than the spectacle, like in Jaws, for example, you can't wait to see the shark, the buildup of the shark. And then when you see the shark, you're like, oh my god, it's the friggin' shark. This is the same thing in a way, but on top of that, in order to have just a good movie, it can't be just that spectacle. You have to have those important character moments, which I think he nails like crazy. Like, for example, when you have Ian, Dr. Grant and Ellie all in a scene together and them just going over talking about should this be happening, you need those scenes of conflicting opinion and just getting to know who these characters are. Like, the characters are so strongly built in this movie. Like, Dr. Grant, Ellie, they love dinosaurs, they love everything they're seeing. Are they on the, are they okay with this? Not really. They question it, as well as, Ian Malcolm, who at the same time, Jeff Goldblum, he's saying, we shouldn't be doing this, this is stupid and everything, but they're all on the same page, though. Like, they all relate to the same way, and that's how you can see them, I don't want to say bond, but they can relate to each other's thoughts. And I think that's pretty well done, honestly. You know what I mean?
They also have that one joke when they're climbing up the stairs, and I think Laura Dern goes to the one guy. She goes, "So what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do about a job now?" And he goes, "Well, I guess we're gonna have to look otherwhere."
Yeah.
And the one guy walks up and he goes, "Well, actually, your job is extinct now." So that was kind of like a funny way to like feel like, hey, you're kind of like the dinosaurs were.
Yeah, it's just they add a dimension to the characters which you wouldn't expect in this kind of movie. I wouldn't say this is a horror movie. I mean, it treads on the tropes of a horror movie, but it's not there. It's definitely not there. It's more like action with a little bit of thriller. And not even action, and not the cliche like go shoot everybody up action, but like a lot of things happening. It's really like the journey with a little bit of thriller thrown in there.
Yeah, I would definitely wouldn't consider it like a horror movie.
No, not at all. But the characters are just you just really, besides just the good casting, like the dialogue that's written for these characters, I feel like I know these characters and I understand where they're coming from. One of the strongest scenes in this movie, I would argue, is it's towards the end of the movie. John Hamm and Ellie are sitting in, I guess it's like the cafeteria area, and he's eating ice cream. And they're talking about the flea circus. He's talking about, I got a flea circus and I did this and that. And just the revelations in there, and we'll see where he's coming from. I think it's incredible. Like, you actually see into the character, like, why he wanted to do this and how strongly he believes in what he's doing. And she's, the voice of reason, almost speaking for the audience. Like, I understand what you're saying. I can understand your feelings, but this is wrong, what you've done. You've brought back things that shouldn't be here. And just the passion and just incredible character writing from that. Like, everyone's motivations is very clear. All the characters, where they stand, which I think is great, in a movie. I'm not left guessing anything. I know how everyone should be reacting to certain situations, which that's great. Like I said, great character moments, and they're timeless. The only thing that maybe didn't age well, besides a light CGI, I would say, is some of like the computer moments are a little weird. When the girl, she says she's a hacker. Oh, I'm gonna go hack into. Right, that's a Spielberg thing too. Have the kid be involved and do something kind of crazy. Whatever, I roll my eyes a little bit and I laugh and I go with it because it's just funny. Like, oh, she's a hacker and she knows how to hack this random program that we found. Okay, whatever. You're involved in the kid, Spielberg. We dig it. It's fine. I'm good with that.
Doesn't bother me.
So, I want to ask you. So, what is your favorite scene in this movie? If you could pick one scene. What was your favorite scene and why? You only get one.
I have to actually go to when the T-Rex goes over them and bites through the car.
Right.
Is my favorite scene because it's that moment of fear and what these two kids who are left alone are going through, and just the first time you see like this huge animal just going right through the glass, and these kids are literally just like out there by themselves, like scared to death.
Right.
I feel like that part is always built into my mind anytime I think of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be a liar if I told you that wasn't my favorite scene, because God, it is. I just the slow build, the thumping. You just hear the thunderous, like the thunderous stomping.
Well, the funny part too
and
is
the goat leg lands. It's like, again, you keep in mind, you don't see the T-Rex right away. Again, this is all
No.
part of that build-up. You don't see it. You hear it. You get like signs of it, like the goat leg gets thrown, and then you see like the eye real quick, and then you see the claw like tear through the fence, rips it up a little bit, and then it's just brilliant,
Well,
man.
and it's also funny how like with the flashlight,
Mm-hmm.
nobody ever can turn the flashlights off.
Well, you're panicking.
Like
Whatever.
once the flashlights are on, they're
Right.
on for good.
Right.
Like it's kind of funny, like because like at no time do they ever try and turn off the flashlights
Right.
either. It's just funny because like there was that one scene where she's got the flashlight next to them,
Mm-hmm.
and she doesn't try to hide it or anything. She just keeps it on, and it's kind of like, okay, he's after the flashlight now.
I know. It's just like I said, the whole build up, and then the whole not moving, which isn't true, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. That's not true. T-Rex apparently could still see you if you move. If you didn't move. I think that's crazy. Yeah, I just that's another thing. Not to get off top, but like the ideas behind dinosaurs. A lot of knowledge people think they have of dinosaurs from watching this movie. It's almost to the point where everyone thinks it's factual. But a lot of it's not, which I think is hilarious in its own right. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think there were There's no Velociraptor. That's not a thing. They're actually
No,
more
they
like
made that up.
They're more like birds. The hooded Dilophosaurus, I think it's called, that has the hood and spits out the acid. That's not real.
Uh-huh.
They made that up. That's not a real thing at all. Like I said, the T-Rex not move. Can't see you if you don't move. Clever. I would say that was a good mechanism to put into the movie, especially to try and get away from it. You needed something like that. You needed something. I'm not taking away from it. I'm saying that was a good idea. But the fact is, people believe all these things to be factual now because of this movie. That's how influential this movie is because of that. It's like shark attacks in Jaws. Like everyone's like, oh, remember, you go into the water, you get attacked by a shark. No, like that. I mean, it happens, but it's not like a great white's just hanging around waiting for you.
No,
it's not like that at all. It's usually like an in passing kind of thing. If anything,
could you imagine if it was like that?
That'd be crazy. That would be not good. But that being said, this movie is amazing. I really, honestly, if I could say, I don't have any flaws with this movie. This is one of those movies where I could watch it a million times, and then, you know what, just take a break, watch it a million times more. That's where I am with this movie. So, my final grade I'm going to go with for this movie, I'm giving Jurassic Park an A+. John, where are you at?
I'm also giving Jurassic Park an A+.
Wow.
A classic movie, classic times, and the amazing rewatchability of this movie. It just puts it up there. It's one of those movies that I feel like when we saw it as a child, it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
When you see it now, it still holds up to this day and still is a great movie. It's one of those movies you want to show people who haven't ever seen it. Yeah. Show them this movie.
I mean, it's timeless. I feel like this movie will be timeless. I didn't grow out of Jurassic Park. I feel like Jurassic Park grew up with me throughout the ages.
Yeah.
And Jurassic Park is a special movie. It is a special movie. The only thing we didn't talk about was the brief, the book people versus the movie people. As far as this movie's concerned, a lot of book fans hate the movie, and I can't say for sure. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I never read the book. This is one of my intentions where I have no intention of reading the book by Michael Crichton. I have no interest in it. Not because I'm sure the book's probably fine, but I don't care because this is my Jurassic Park. It's like when people talk about The Shining too. The Shining is one of my favorite movies. I'm never gonna go and read Stephen King's The Shining because I don't want it to conflict with my memory of it. Yeah, maybe a different story, but that is my memory, and that's what I cherish and hold so much. But so we didn't talk about the book stuff because neither of us know about the book. That's the only reason why, in case people are wondering. But anyway, on that note, John, as of Jurassic June, where can the people find us at home?
You could find us on YouTube at TheReelMovieGuys. You could find us on Twitter at RealMovieGuy. You could also find us streaming on many platforms such as Anchor,
Spotify, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, and Pocket Casts. We are all currently streaming there, and many more to come in the future. Hey, maybe you're listening to us now. That's even better if you're listening to us on one of our current platforms. The other thing I want to quickly throw in there for you guys is if you're really enjoying us and you want to join the real movie movement right now, I highly, highly, strongly, please recommend that you pick up one of our exclusive t-shirts that I would show you if our camera actually worked. But that's fine.
You
Anyway,
can go get that over at Teespring slash The Real Movie Guys.
Teespring
We have
slash the real movie
t-shirts.
guys.
We have t-shirts, sweatshirts, women's
Whole bunch of things. Whole
t-shirts.
bunch of things with our Real Movie Night logo. And on the back, it's got our name along with our Twitter handle so you can advertise for us. That's what we're using those shirts for, absolutely. No, I'm just kidding. If you guys want to pick it up, we greatly support, we greatly appreciate anything you guys pick up for us. They're there for you. But like I said, as Jurassic June continues, our next video will be visiting the second movie in the Jurassic Park series, The Lost World Jurassic Park. Oh boy. Oh boy. My name's Kevin. That's my buddy John. We are the Real Movie Guys, bringing you a real review. Real guys, real movies, real reviews. We'll see you next time.
See ya.